Hi, my name's Gemma, student number 19501550, and I'm presenting the oral assessment for the Unit Australian Taxation law cases. And in this presentation, I will discuss the validity of the Super Guarantee Act and whether it is a tax and for public purpose. Public purpose refers to the purpose of the benefit or action made being for the benefit of the public, according to Boston Globe, Boston, Mass. On the 1st of July in 1992, the government introduced the Superannuation Guarantee Act to assist certain employers that fit the criteria under the Super Guarantee eligibility tool with receiving superannuation support from their employees. This tool can be found on the ATO website and is easily accessible for employers and employees to review and calculate their eligibility to give or receive superannuation. In simple, this act requires employees to contribute a minimum percentage of an employee's ordinary earnings, which are held within a super fund account that the employee can access later in life once they retire. Then in 1993, the Superannuation Guarantee Administration regulations were introduced to assist with administration of super for employers. This including rules such as how to report on super for employees, funds requirements, and the minimum percentage to be paid according to an employee's salary. The case discussed in this presentation is Roy Morgan Research, Pty Ltd and FCT 2011. Roy Morgan Research Pty Ltd took to the full court of the Federal Court the Commissioner of Taxation to challenge the legislation imposed by the Superannuation Guarantee Charge Act, which under the Act outlines the requirements of money to be withheld for employees to go towards their chosen superannuation funds account. Roy Morgan from Roy Morgan Research Pty Ltd, a proprietary limited company, conducted market research between the 1st of July 2000 and the 30th of June 2006. Roy paid individuals to interview members of the public via face-to-face or telephone to collect the information required for their market research. It has been stated that Roy did not consider the interviewers as employees and therefore did not lodge superannuation guarantee statements in relation to them, nor did he report any shortfall in respect to the periods prescribed under the superannuation guarantee legislation. The Commissioner of Taxation issued superannuation guarantee assessments on the 13th of September 2007 for the periods in relation to which were considered that Roy had been liable to report. Roy then lodged an obligation to the Commissioner that was disallowed as he was found liable for the amounts of superannuation guarantee charges determined. Roy took to the High Court an argument that the Superannuation Guarantee Charge Act 1992 and the Superannuation Guarantee Administration Act 1992 were not for public purpose, rather for private and direct benefit. This was done in conjunction with the Administrative Appeals Tribunals Act 1975, Section 4.4, which according to the Act, a party to a proceeding before the tribunal may appeal to the Federal Court of Australia on a question of law from any decision of the tribunal in that proceeding, which in relation to this case was that the Superannuation Guarantee Charge Act 1992 and the Superannuation Guarantee Administration Act 1992 were not for public purpose but for private and benefit use of the government. The issues identified in this case were that Roy did not consider his interviewers to be employees and therefore argued that he did not have to contribute superannuation payments. However, according to the relevant law under the Superannuation Act and identifications which can be found through the use of employment contract detection tool, the individuals were identified as employees. This is because they met the criteria of which includes to be allocated hours worked, hourly rates, so he gave them the rates of what they would earn an hour. They were not given the choice to charge what they felt they were worth, and they were supplied with appropriate tools for the job required. So if they were to be considered as contract workers, they would have supplied their own tools for the job. In relation to the Superannuation Guarantee Charge Act 1992 and the Superannuation Guarantee Administration Act 1992 not being for public purpose, it was overruled as these acts are in place to protect the employees and ensure that the employers follow the requirements of the acts, that they are in fact relevant and for public purpose. With regards to the difference of employees and contractors, the Australian business number ABN ABN, was introduced in Australia on the 1st of July 2000, which enabled businesses to interact with agencies and government departments by using a single identification number, and to also support the introduction of goods and services tax. Essentially, an ABN allows a business or an individual to earn income. However, under certain circumstances, it is their responsibility to withhold tax at the end of financial year, as well as keep money aside for their superannuation funds. There are ways to identify if an individual is an employee or a contractor, which I discussed earlier, that can be found using the Employee and Contractor Decision tool found on the ATO website. This tool enables a questionnaire to be fulfilled, which in return advises that if the individual is an employee or a contractor. The allocations that associate with this case that provides information with regards to these individuals have resolved as them not being classified as contractors, but rather as employees. As a resolution, Roy Morgan could have hired the interviewers as subcontractors under a contract on the terms that they supply invoices for payment. They would also need to supply their own equipment and tools for the functionality of the job. They would also be able to then charge what they want their hourly rate to be, and this would have prevented him from being liable for the superannuation payments. The legal principles established by this case, which have been discussed, are the Superannuation Guarantee Charge Act 1992 and the Superannuation Guarantee Administration Act 1992. They are for public purpose. They are for the employee to ensure that the employees deduct payments towards their chosen super funds. In this case, they were endorsed by the High Court as relevant and reiterated that Roy Morgan was liable for the payments and charges due. These legal principles are still applicable given the state of the Australian taxation landscape. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and here are my list of references.